Alright guys, TechRabbit here today, and we have some drama to talk about. FastBaller has been benched from Excelerate, or EXG, in place of Robbie Beeman. Now this is a very interesting story. We've had a couple of situations similar to this a few weeks ago, with Methods going on to UYU instead of Spoof, and of course Pharaoh being dropped from 100 Thieves for Priester before they even played a single match. FastBaller has played this week of matches, and now he is being effectively substituted out for Robbie Beeman, who was their substitute for this next week of matches. And yeah, well, effectively FastBaller is being moved to the substitute bench and Robbie Beeman is coming into the starting lineup. So it's a very interesting scenario. Like if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always. One thing to say is that the sub growth has been a little bit slower lately, but the views have been keeping up to par. Yesterday we hit 1 million views on this channel, so thank you guys so much for that. It's a pretty big milestone, and yeah, subscribe if you're new, all that good stuff. Let's get right on in with it then. So, EXG Mr. Baller tweeted this out yesterday. At a loss for words, it's been a good run. He then followed it up with this twit longer. So let's go through it right here. So, the way I see this is a lot of people were reacting pretty heavily to this, considering, well, I think in large part because FastBaller was the first person to make comments about this, and therefore it was, you know, it was his side of the story, and therefore a lot of people went along those lines initially. And then I think really people looking back on it and what other people have said in the management, then they maybe think this decision is a little bit fairer than it may seem on the surface. But, you know, you have to leave your thoughts in the comment section below, as I'm sure you will. So this is what FastBaller says in his statement. Don't even know where to begin. After years of failing and never giving up and sacrificing everything in my life for a chance to earn the spot in the league, I finally did it, shot calling 5 S&D maps in a row on Sunday, finally wasn't a failure and made my parents' family proud that have supported me through some very dark times. Then I get to the league and swear what seemed like yesterday, 5-3 up last map S&D versus eUnited to start off the division 2-0, beating Envy, then them literally a day later. I get told by my team and org I'm being dropped for Robbie B, who didn't even place high enough himself at Vegas to make PLQ, then got on a PLQ team, didn't win a match with his team, and now is getting handed everything I earn, including the money I'm supposed to be guaranteed. So I feel as if all these years are for absolutely nothing. I wouldn't be as upset if I failed and had quit, but I actually pulled it off and earned everything the hard way. Zero handouts, so literally get it stolen from me. It was extremely hard for me to even type this out, as I had a mental breakdown and went to shock when I received the news. And I've been up for 40 or so hours now. I've no idea what the future holds for me. I can only hope for the best. Was there any full stops in there? I actually don't know. Jesus Christ. But fair enough. That's his twit longer that he put out. And, well, I guess that sums up the situation from his perspective. He's clearly not happy with being replaced. One thing to note before we do go further is that the organisations do have a lot of power this year. And I think a lot of the complaints here maybe on the side of the community towards EXG as an organisation and also towards UYU when they dropped Spoof was the fact that the players earned this spot in the league. Dropping them, especially when it's on the back of the organisation, because they have the power to do that this year. They effectively own the spot, even though the players earned it, is a little bit, you know, it's questionable. But unfortunately, that is how the situation is going to be going into next year's with franchising. Anyway, this is what FastBaller initially tweeted out. We then have some follow-up tweets from him, replying to some other pros, so I'll go through those just now. So yeah, Clay says go 1-2 and lose to basically 2 of the top 3 teams. Yeah, because they had a really tough week, did EXG. They lost to Heretics, and who are 4-0. They lost to eUnited in a game 5, and they beat Envy in a game 5. So yeah, they had a pretty decent week, did EXG. This was their scoreboards for the matches. So they went game 5 with both eUnited and Envy. They won one of those, and then they lost to Heretics on the final day. And apparently at that point things were going, you know, not great internally. Let's put it that way. So yeah, back to this tweet. FastBaller says, I begged my org owner to at least let me finish my division matches versus the lower seeded teams. He wasn't having it. And okay, of course, this is his stance. This is his perspective. FastBaller says, I was told last night it was the org and BZ that decided to kick him. And there's literally no punctuation here, but I think he means it was the org and BZ that decided he was going to go out the door. I was talking to Profizi. So this team is BZ, Profizi, I think Believe and Emery's, and FastBaller. He said he had my back, but the org told him they owned the spot. And then we get this announcement from Excelerate Gaming. And again, this isn't very easy to read, whatever background they've gone for here. But anyway, let's go through it. As of last night, due to an overall team decision, FastBaller has been moved to a substitute and Robbie B will move to the main roster. This change stemmed from the team, and as an organisation, we felt the need to carry out the decision based on their remarks regarding team atmosphere and overall cohesion. These guys do not understand commas today. While we are confident in the team's ability to succeed, apparently, behind-the-scenes interactions and repeated attempts to improve the negative situation have left the team with no choice but to take action. So they believed they could succeed, but they still dropped a player. Ethan will remain on the team as a substitute and is still a valued member of the EXG family. Okay, very, very nice. Then we get this on Reddit from Jorginho, the Reddit account. So apparently he is the team manager. This is what he says. I think once a lot of people saw this, they were thinking, okay, maybe what FastBaller said, obviously it's his side of things. And then we also have the management side of things, which is, this guy, the team manager. So of course, the truth tends to lie somewhere in the middle. And you guys can figure out exactly where that is in the comment section below, I'm sure. So supposedly Ryan Swinney here quotes FastBaller's tweet saying that the only uses KD as a reason, and then Jorginho, the team manager, says Justin, the CEO, didn't use his KD as a justification. Ethan refused to listen what was being told to him, and he used his KD as the reason he was being scapegoated. He wasn't dropped for KD, he was dropped because he was incredibly toxic and uncoachable and refused to listen to anyone but himself. Probably that's going to be the title of the video. His teammates expressed concerns about his toxicity and unwillingness to work with anyone, even before Vegas. So, well, I don't know too much about FastBaller as a person, as an individual, but supposedly if this is the case, then it does somewhat make sense that this situation would come into effect on the back of this change. Now, I think what a lot of people are complaining about here, as I said, is that he's played 1 week of matches, they had pretty good results overall, and then next week they have arguably an easier set of matches. Okay, they're playing Splice and 100 Thieves, that's going to be tough, but they are playing against Denial, and they have a reasonable chance against Enigma 6 maybe as well. So, those are matches that they could potentially win. Obviously, it seems questionable to drop him after playing only 3 matches and, when's his next chance going to be on a Pro League team? Possibly never, you don't know. But unfortunately, that's the situation in this day and age. It's a cutthroat business. If you're not performing up to standards, you're going to get dropped. And we'll have a look at his stats in just a second here. Unfortunately, there's always players that are going to get screwed over by things like this, and it's FastBaller on this occasion. It was Ferro a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, and it was Spoofs a couple, just a few days after that. And yeah, we have this situation here where these players get dropped off these squads. Ferro, no problem for him. He's such a talented player, he'll get back on. But, FastBaller earned this spot. He's been grinding since like Black Ops 1. He's had a hell of a career, and he finally gets this position, and now he's off the team just a few matches in. But unfortunately, that's Call of Duty, and that's the business, and that's what we've got to deal with. These are his stats over the first couple of weeks. So if there was anyone to go, well, I'm not going to read them out, but Hardpoint KD, out of all the 80 players in the league, his was the lowest. And his overall KD isn't much better than that. So, it is what it is, right? So having a look at Robbie Beeman real quick, these are his achievements. Again, top 48 at Las Vegas, where he was actually a teamer with Achura, who is now the coach of Midnight Esports. And then he went to the Pro League qualifier. He had a really good stats here. He had like a 1.3 or something. But yeah, they didn't win a single series. Now, of course, you could say that he wasn't playing the game the correct way, probably basing his teammates super hard. If you've got a 1.3 and you're not winning a single series, there's probably something wrong with how you are playing the game fundamentally. Whether that means he's a bad player, of course it doesn't. He seems to be a very talented player. Of course, he knows what he's doing in terms of, all right, well, we're not going to win a series. We're not going to qualify for the Pro League. Let me look as good as possible here and I might be able to get on the team. That's just the state of Call of Duty as it is. And it seems to have worked out for him. So fair enough, I guess. So a follow-up little bit of reaction here from Madcan on Twitter. FastBaller grafted for that spot. Could see the guy putting everything in, getting the league over these years to get thrown to the side of his dream. Imagine qualifying for a league with the power to go to the suits, franchise rules with no suit money. And yeah, I guess that does sum up the situation here to some degree. The organizations have a lot of power right now. And according to, well, the statement that we looked at a couple of minutes ago, we can see that it was probably the players expressing some concerns to the organization, but then the organization having the power to, okay, let's get rid of this player mid-league and bring in a substitute. And well, the way I kind of see it is that, yes, it's super tough to FastBaller. I don't really think anyone's going to care a couple of weeks down the line, which is the state of Call of Duty. I honestly thought that after Spoof got dropped from UIU, it would be a talking point in like the Twitch chat for a long time. But since Methods has done quite well, I really don't hear many people talking about it anymore. And yes, given this has come up again, people will be saying, oh, I'm rooting against UIU, rooting against Excelerate. But at the end of the day, has it really affected UIU's like brand perception overall? Nah, I doubt it. I feel like people just forget about these things relatively quickly. I'm sure FastBaller won't, but that's just unfortunate, really. And the substitutes are there for a reason, right? What's the point in having a substitute if you can't use him? If you've decided that one of the players on your team isn't performing up to standard and maybe is creating some sort of toxic attitude, what's the point in having a sub if you can't say, okay, well, this week we're going to sub out that player, get Robbie B in. We're going to keep Fastballer on the bench just in case things don't work out with Robbie and we have to bring him back. I really don't see too much of an issue with this in theory. Next year we'll probably have even more substitutes on the team, so this sort of thing will happen even more often, and players will really have to be locking down their spot as much as possible and making sure they're performing up to standards, and also being as good a teammate as possible so you don't get dropped onto the substitute bench, whereas Robbie B, I'm sure, is constantly grinding to try and get his spot on that main team. So yeah, I don't really have a problem with this fundamentally, given the rules. Yes, it's a little bit scummy from Excelerate, I guess, the fact that Fastballer's played 3 matches, now he's maybe never going to have another chance at the Pro League ever again. Who knows, especially considering next year you don't have the opportunity really to earn your spot. You have to get picked up by, one of the franchise teams that owns the spot. So this year, the players should have owned the spot, I guess, considering they earned it. But the organisations own it, I guess, to try and attract some investment next year. Like big organisations thinking, wow, we have a lot of power here in Call of Duty. It's definitely something to invest into. And next year, they will have a lot of power. And yes, these situations will likely happen more and more often. So it's a very difficult one. I'd be interested to hear what you think in the comment section below. I don't really know how much blame you can put on Excelerate here. It seems like they've made a relatively decent decision in light of how good their team can be, and they've done very well. Fastballer has not had the best stats at all. Surely it does make sense considering you've got potential toxicity issues apparently, that to try and bring Robbie Beeman onto the team for at least a few matches, see how it goes. It may well improve the team. He was very good at the Pro League qualifier. So one thing to mention before we go, we do have Zach here, who I think is he the fully tatted guy, or is this a different guy? Anyway, he's Denial, and maybe the CEO of Denial or something like that. We have been getting a lot of messages in regards to CoD on our players. We understand a lot of orgs are making changes. We believe in loyalty and growth. We will be keeping our roster. That's my personal start. So this is the Denial guy. He picked up the overtime team. So Zeke, Natche, Breezy, Whalers, and Risk, of course. There's that team. And a lot of people thought that an organisation which kind of had a questionable history, such as Denial, would be kind of eager to drop their team and try and get new players in. Because that is one thing with EXG, is that it's possible the organisations, as I say, own the spot. Come March the 1st, which is coming up very soon, the organisations can very well drop, I think, basically all of their players and get a new team if they want to. And well, we'll have to see how that goes down the line. I'm sure there'll be some great content to make on it and some more drama and the like to discuss. So like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new as always. Thank you guys so much for watching. Enjoy the clip in the outro, and I'll see you next time.
Probably.
There's one like guys close pillar, I think.
I'm gonna go vents. I'm giving it a go.
Oh shit. Got one there, sorry.
Nice. The other guy was backside with a nice guy.
Okay, it's planted for... Oh yeah, in the window. He's jumping out.
Limo should come behind him.
I gotta go.
Oh, that was actually the play going vents like that.
Yeah, that was a big one, like... You have to be kidding me.
Fucking no-scope! That was unreal! It hits! Did you see that?
It
How
is.
to play the Millennium.
Oh my god.
The fucking play of the Millennium. If it hits, it fucking hits, like... I didn't even know I couldn't even see you through there, like...
That is just...
Unreal.
Yeah,
I'll take it. I've actually made the plays this round.
No, I'm gonna take some history.
That's a fucking...